Hello, Patreon. It's me again. I am going to try to do one of these weekly. That's just what I've decided. Um, Doing things a little differently this week. Last couple of weeks I've been doing this with my phone. This time I'm just doing it with Photo Booth on my computer. So I apologize for everything, really. My hair is a mess. The lighting is horrible. There's a light overhead right over my desk, and I'm trying to stay relatively close to the camera because if I lean back, then I kind of disappear. Um, but I had things that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to have my hands free because I like to talk with my hands. Um, so, a couple of other things you might notice. I'm not a YouTuber, so I don't give a shit about things like my hair being a mess or uh, proper lighting or my bed not being made or having a background behind me or any of that. And, I was looking, I've been using the Wish app. I've bought a couple of little cheap pieces of jewelry with it in the past, and one of the things that I've seen advertised a lot is like photography backdrops, and I actually considered for a brief moment about buying like a stand and like a couple of backdrops so that when I did a video you weren't seeing all this behind me and it wasn't as confusing. But again, I don't give a shit. So and yeah, my glasses are different if you're noticing that. I have a couple different pairs. I like to switch between them. Um, my glasses are the only big money purchase that I make for anything that I wear, really. These are Coach. My other ones, the black frames with the Tiffany blue on the sides, are Tiffany. Um, I have another pair that's Versace, and I don't know. I had another pair. I think they were Dolce and Gabbana, but this is something that I wear every day. I need them to see. I have astigmatism, so it's difficult for me to wear contacts for very long at a time. I can wear them every once in a while for a special occasion, but a few hours, that's pretty much it. I have to take them out. So glasses are it for me. So getting into the things that I really wanted to talk about. I have been trying Vero or Vero. I'm not really sure what the pronunciation is. I heard it in the introductory video. But Vero is really nice and very pretty. And I actually do like the UI on it very much. It's still in beta, but hey, it actually came right up for me. And let's see. So I'll show you this. I just posted this last night. Kind of hard to get the glare off, but I might edit this a little bit and slip this in so you can actually see it better. This was a piece that I did for Built from Human Parts #1, which is a anthology series that my friend Cameron Callahan has put together, and it is a collection of prose and comics, and it's already been funded by Kickstarter, so that's fantastic. It should be released out to people that contributed to the Kickstarter within the next month. When I get my copy, I'll show you guys what it looks like. But it's a lot. It was a lot of fun to get to be involved in that. I was the last contributor to get a piece into the book. I'm not gonna lie. I was dealing with a lot of shit on my end, all personal stuff, nothing to do with any kind of creative difficulties other than the fact that I was sick and, dealing with my own stuff, and it just put me way behind. But Vero, which I really like, is it is new. It is still in beta, so it's still a little wobbly sometimes, depending on the amount of traffic it's getting. But so far, I'm really liking it. Some of my artists that I like are on there: Alex Ross and Ben Temple-Smith, Richard Pace, who's a friend of mine, Carolyn Harrison, me, Ruiz Burgos, who is a fantastic fan artist. If you wanted to check him out, he's really good. And right now, the only kind of post that you can make, you can't just make text posts. That's probably the only gripe that I have. You can't make text posts. You have to have at least an image. But your options for creating posts are image, link, music, movie/TV, book, or place. So technically, I guess you could do a text post if you just wanted to tag a place. So that's my hair. That's pretty interesting. I am trying to get away from Facebook. And that's kind of a personal thing, which I'll get to in a minute. But also because Facebook's algorithm system is so geared toward monetizing everything you do in their favor. So independent artists, small businesses, anything like that rely on, a social media presence in order to gain income are really getting screwed. As anybody that has an artist page, business page, anything like that can attest to. And it's really frustrating. It really is frustrating. I've been pretty frustrated for quite a while now. I did a sale for my Etsy shop. I was initially just going to do it through the middle of the month, and then I extended it through the end of the month, 25% off all orders over $20, which my candles go for $30, so one candle, there you go. And I shared that out on all my social media: Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Vero, Instagram. I keep forgetting about Instagram just because I don't check it very often, and I don't post as much as I used to. So anyway, and I don't really have much of a problem complaining here because, you guys all support me, and I don't expect anything from anybody that actively supports me on Patreon. I haven't made a sale in 3 months on anything. And it's really frustrating and really disheartening and discouraging because I have a lot of ideas of things that I want to do, but at this point I'm just kind of like, why? And I know that it's not, that popularity is not a linear upward path, that it doesn't always go the way you want it to. Sometimes there's ups and downs, and this is probably just a down period. Today's the 1st of March. The period after Christmas tends to be very slow. Okay, I get that. I'm broke. I'm poor, y'all. I'm broke, bitches. So I'm trying not to let it get to me. I've learned to walk away instead of getting frustrated and yelling at the world. So, moving on. Another reason why I'm kind of over Facebook is I've got the Facebook memory function doesn't really do me any favors. I've blocked out some very specific periods of time that I know will bother me, but still throughout the year I get reminders of things that I don't really want to remember. Um, like like today I got reminded over the weekend 3 years ago was my boyfriend Mike's the last show that he ever performed. He was a musician. He was a singer for several bands. This particular band was called Gentleman Crow. It's since moved on since he's died, and is now called Dangerous Friends, and they still perform in Denver. If you ever want to check them out, they're really good. But it was his last show, and it was a difficult night and a difficult weekend, and being reminded of that just really upset me. So Facebook and I are slowly trying to separate, but it's it's a hard thing to do because so many people use it, and all my family's there, most of my friends are there, so it's hard to make that separation. So, and I don't have that issue with Memories of CJ, my husband, who passed away in 2007, because this was before Facebook. So I had a Facebook account then. I never used it because I didn't really have a reason to at the time. I was still very heavily involved in LiveJournal at the time, which shows my age. But I guess this kind of transitions very well into what I'm doing right now, or what I've been working on. And I think the thing with being reminded of Mike really messed with me because of the last couple of days I've been working on the story that I talked about before, which is I'm working on, and I'm sure you're not going to be able to see this very well. Well, maybe. But this is just some initial scribblings for a comic that I want to do. It's based on the story of CJ's death and how it affected me afterward, and how I got past my grief. It's not comfortable talking material, but it's a story that I've wanted to tell for a long time. And a friend of mine a few years ago had suggested that I do a comic about the story of me and CJ. And I at the time I was like, oh, I don't like doing sequential art. And back when I worked in comics, I realized that that wasn't really my thing, that I preferred doing, single one-off pieces, covers, things like that. What I do now, basically, paintings. But I actually, once I got those little thumbnails written out, I started writing an actual outline, trying to do this properly. Started doing an actual outline for the story. And the idea for this particular story came about when I heard a song by Sarah Bareilles called Once Upon Another Time. I spoke about that in my last video, and I linked it in the video. I've spent a lot the last few days. One of my other inspirations for for the story comes from Strangers in Paradise, which you can see I've been marking spots in the story because I thought, there's a lot of things that I liked in that story, and I love, it's my favorite comic of all time. And it's very long, and it's, a very heartfelt story, and it tells, it gets into a lot of very emotional material, and I really love Terry Moore's art style, and it's influenced me a lot in the way that I've drawn a lot of things. And I thought, yeah, there's a lot of good examples of facial expressions and body postures and things like that in there that I'd love to emulate. And I started marking out certain spots for certain panels that I really liked. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to borrow those. But that's not cool. That's basically copying. I don't like doing that. You can't see it over here on the wall. I've got, I met Terry Moore 5 years, was it 5 years? Almost 5 years ago. I was at the 2013 Baltimore Comic Con. I met Terry Moore. He was basically my whole reason for going. I met him, and he gave me a copy of the Strangers in Paradise 20th anniversary print, which is a profile of Kachu with a lipstick mark on her cheek, and he signed it for me. And he also gave me a t-shirt with the same image, and signed a couple of books for me, and I bought those. But I have there's a very there is a symbol in his books that, if I can find the damn thing, I don't think it's on any of these, but I have, the shoulder. I can't see my own back. I don't know. I have a tattoo on my left shoulder of what's known as the Parker Lily, which shows up in the book several times. Both the main characters have the tattoo on them. They have it on their breasts, but I have something else. But I've had that tattoo since 2007. Yeah, early 2007 is when I got that tattoo. So I showed that to Terry, and that's why he gave me the stuff, because he was pretty impressed by it. Actually, if you go on his Facebook page, which I think is Terry Moore Art, he has a fan tattoo gallery, and you can see it in there. But I realized, after going through this, rereading the entire series in the last 2 days, which, thank God I have tissues, because it's a very emotional story. I decided, no, I'm not. I mean, I can take a lot of inspiration from those books, but I don't want to copy any poses, any panels, because it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel appropriate, And I have very, very specific images in mind, because the way I want to do the story is, I wanted initially to do it from my perspective, so that I'm showing the audience what I saw on that day and afterwards. So, like my hands on a steering wheel, a cigarette in my hand. I used to smoke back then. And then I realized, well, I can't do it all from my perspective, because there are things that I want to show that I didn't actually see. Like, for example, CJ died in a motorcycle accident. And I wasn't there. I didn't see any pictures from the scene. I didn't want to see it. I saw his body at the hospital afterward. And Um, some things I have to show from either a perspective of fly on the wall or from someone else's perspective, or there is only one panel that I've planned out that I want to show of the accident scene, and it's a um, very singular scene of the handlebars of the bike and his arm. But no blood, no gore, no guts, no broken bones, anything like that. That's not something I ever want to do or see. So, just enough to illustrate what is happening, because there's no dialogue in this story. It's all told by the song lyrics and the images. It's it's going to be a feat. It's anybody will tell you. Anybody that's drawn a comic without dialogue will tell you it's a challenge. But looking at my my outline here, I have notes of what line from the lyrics, because it's following the lyrics linearly. The lyrics are linear. The story is not. The story can go back and forth just a little bit. But his death is only the beginning of the story. So far, I have 2 pages planned out. And it may go to 5 or 6. I'm not sure. It's not an easy story to tell. It's hard. It's very personal. But it's been over a decade now. He died in 2007. It's now 2018. So I feel like enough time has gone by for me to get to the point where I can do this. I haven't discussed this with the kids yet. So I have 2 daughters from a previous relationship. They are 18, and CJ has a daughter and a son. His daughter is 22 now, and his son is 20, I believe. And I'm in contact with his daughter. I haven't gotten to talk to his son since he was 3 years old, but I am in contact with his daughter, and I haven't discussed this with her yet, but I am pretty sure she's going to be all for it, because she's always told me, you need to do an Art of Dad, so I will do an Art of Dad. And I wanted to show you guys this because I'm going to use this for notes on the story. And this is a gift from my friend Crystal Bollinger, who got me this for Christmas. It's a very special little journal that's made from old library books. It's from Ex Libris Anonymous at bookjournals.com. It's and inside here there's a little note talking about, it says, about our journals. Not unlike a snowflake, a soft puppy, or a slice of warm pie, every journal we make here at Ex Libris Anonymous is one of a kind, unique, and completely unrepeatable experience. We use the most interesting recycled books we can find and salvage the covers and selected pages of the lucky book, adding around 75 pages of acid-free paper, perfect for journaling or sketching. We hope you love it. Thanks. And this particular one is on the cover, which you probably can't read because it's all shiny. This is the famous bedtime storybooks, Thornton W. Burgess, The Adventures of Unc' Billy Possum. Because as y'all know, love me some possums. So thank you for that, Crystal. This is going to be my story journal. So creeping up on about 25 minutes here, which is the longest video I've made yet. Bye.